outgoing first couple, outgoing President Joe Biden and outgoing First Lady Jill Biden, standing at the portico of the White House waiting for the incoming President-elect Donald Trump and the incoming First Lady Melania Trump to arrive. It is one of these great American traditions, the peaceful transfer of power and the hospitality of bitter political rivals coming together because we are all Americans. It is a sight to see. It is a sight that we, as an American people, were denied 4 years ago. But it is good to have it back, and hopefully it will continue in perpetuity. Here is Donald J. Trump, the incoming 47th President of the United States. Let's take a look and see if we can hear it.
Move the truck. Move the truck. Move the truck.
There they go inside the White House, the 46th President of the United States and the 47th President of the United States with their respective First Ladies. It is, as always, nice to see the peaceful transfer of power, even between bitter political rivals. And President Biden and President-elect Trump have certainly had some rather unkind things to say about the other. But on days like today, we put that aside and we celebrate the fact that we're Americans and we have this democracy.
Jake, Joe Biden ran for president to rid the country of Donald Trump and Trumpism. He was successful. And then 4 years later, he lost that. He lost that bid, and it was completely overturned, turned around, and this is a moment that Joe Biden warned about democracy, warned about what would happen to the country if and when this moment happened, and here it is.
Yeah, and it's such an important point of the moment that we're in, where President Biden said Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, and there are a lot of his supporters who were not very thrilled that he welcomed President Trump to the White House a few weeks after he won the election. I'm just listening in just to see if we can hear any questions there, but this was from a few moments ago. But he welcomed Trump into the White House. Despite all of that, he has had meetings with him. He has largely refrained from criticizing Donald Trump. They worked hand in hand on a major hostage deal and ceasefire in the Middle East. And there are a lot of people who are upset about that. But Joe Biden is, in many ways, not perfectly, but in many ways, an institutionalist. And he, according to our MJ Lee, never even considered not extending the hand to Donald Trump that he should have been extended 4 years ago. And as I watch them walking into the White House, I mean, you can't forget that it's not that often that a former president gets to walk back into a house that he's going to live in after having been moved out 4 years earlier.
Only the second time.
It's only the second time. And Donald Trump is walking back in there. He probably still recognizes and knows a lot of the staff that are there. It looks different because each president gets to make it look the way they want it to look. But that in itself is just a very unusual moment for this country. And it must be weird if you're Donald Trump and if you're Joe Biden.
Let's go to MJ Lee now at the White House, who can tell us more about this meeting between outgoing President Biden and incoming President Trump. Oh, to be a fly on that wall. MJ, what's your understanding of what they talked about?
Yeah, as the Trumps just arrived here at the White House, there were some pool reporters, of course, standing outside the North Portico as that arrival was happening. There's that moment again. We are told that when the Trumps stepped out of the SUV, President Biden said to incoming President Trump the words, "Welcome home." And just moments prior to that, we are told that when reporters asked President Biden, "What is your message today?" he responded with one word, and that word was joy. I am told by a White House official who is here that the two couples walked straight inside through the grand foyer and into the Blue Room. That is where we expect the four to now sit down and spend some time together. They are being served both tea and coffee. This, of course, is officially sort of described as the tea ceremony. I am just struck by this little piece of color that we are getting again from the pool reports, from the reporters that were standing there, that President Biden, first of all, chose to use the word joy to describe his message for the day, because we know for a fact that joy is not exactly the feeling that President Biden is feeling right now in this moment of basically handing the baton back to a man that he has repeatedly said poses a grave threat to democracy. And as we have been reporting for other reasons too, the president has been in a bit of a dark headspace, feeling angry about being forced out of the 2024 race, feeling embittered about the blame that he is getting for Donald Trump's return. And also just the president being put in this position, of course, where he has to even utter the words "welcome home" to a man that he very much hoped would never return home to the White House. So just goes without saying, look, we are going through the motions of all of the ceremonies, the traditions that come with this day. And as I reported earlier, those traditions were ones that I am told President Biden felt strongly he had to stick by. But you can easily imagine that as he is going through those motions, these are not easy things for President Biden to be participating in today.
No, not at all. And for those wondering, because I know there are a lot of Democrats out there who think that the reason that Donald Trump is back at the White House is because Joe Biden made the decision to run for re-election, and everything that happened in 2024 with the CNN debate and obvious moments of communication problems. A lot of people in the Democratic Party hold Joe Biden responsible for ushering the Trump era back in. That is not how President Biden sees it. President Biden thinks that the Democratic elites kicked him out and that he could have won if he had been permitted to stay at the top of the ticket. Pollsters can discuss whether or not there's any data to support that contention, but that is the president's belief. Let's go to Caitlin Collins at Emancipation Hall right now to give us the latest on what's going on in the room where they are expecting to inaugurate the 47th president. Caitlin?
Well, Jake, here's a lot of the cabinet getting off the buses. There's Kristi Noem, I should say hopeful cabinet. Kristi Noem, Trump's pick to be his DHS secretary. I also saw Howard Lutnick getting off the bus. That is Trump's pick to be his commerce secretary. There's Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio, Doug Collins. You're seeing all of them filter in here. And Scott Bessent as well, Trump's pick to run the Treasury Department. RFK Jr. as well. Really, this entire bus is the entire Trump cabinet, should they be confirmed by the Senate. Most of them appear to be on a glide path to doing so. Marco Rubio is expected to be the first one to be confirmed, Jake. It remains to be seen when the others are confirmed there, but obviously that'll be a key part of governing for the president-elect turned president. I'm here at Emancipation Hall, and this is kind of the overflow room where a lot of the guests who aren't going to fit in the rotunda, because you saw that you can only squeeze so many chairs in there, they'll be in here. This is really the visitor center area of the Capitol. It's named after the enslaved people who built the Capitol, I should note, Jake. And so this is where Trump will come after he delivers that inaugural address. I'll actually be listening closely to that because I don't think that is a scripted speech. I believe there are unscripted remarks that Trump will be delivering here just briefly to those who are gathered here in the room. And it'll be their first opportunity to get a glimpse of the president and the vice president, J.D. Vance, once they are sworn in. Right now, so far, you're already seeing a few notable figures here in the room. Governors will be here and other VIPs at the top. Guests of congressional leadership we know are expected to be seated here. Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader in the House, is one that we're expected to be here. Right now, you're looking at the north lawn of the White House. You can see those green tents in the background. That's where all the TV reporters stand and deliver their reports. Of course, the Beast is leading off. That's the car that Joe Biden and Donald Trump will get into together with the First Lady and the incoming First Lady to ride up here to the Capitol where I am, Jake. And you're just getting a sense of all of the people, the VIPs that have been shifting around and figuring out where they're going here. That's been an issue in recent days, is for those who are not only replanning the inauguration to move it from outside to inside. They had a lot of VIPs calling, wanting to make sure they got good seats at this inauguration. And right now they are showing air here inside the room. People are watching along. They were applauding as Trump got out of the car at the White House and greeted President Biden and the First Lady Jill Biden. But obviously just a fascinating scene for all of these small moments that you watch here. And in just a few moments, that rotunda will be filled with all of the guests who are seated here, as well as Emancipation Hall, where they're playing music and people are gathering and milling about as you're looking around to see who it is that has been invited and gotten a prime.